Here we have a prism. Let's understand what the prism is doing. So essentially the prism is causing deviation of the incident ray. So the ray is being incident like so. It's getting deviated at the first surface because of refraction at the first surface, and then again as it is emerging it is getting deviated furthermore. Let us draw the two normals at the two surfaces. So this happens to be the normal at the first surface. This happens to be the normal at the second surface. Yeah. So the angle of incidence at the first surface is going to have the value I, and the angle of emergence over here is having the value E. The angle of refraction at the first surface is R1, and the angle of refraction at the second surface is R2. If we extend this line, then this represents the direction in which the ray was heading. But now the ray, because of the presence of the prism, has deviated and now it's heading in this particular direction. So this difference is called as the angle of deviation. Also, the parameter of the prism is this vertex angle A. So mind you, these two angles are not very relevant because the shape might be like so, it might be like so, it might be any kind of a shape basically. So when we talk about a prism, we actually are talking about an angle. So we don't really care about the bottom shape while we are talking about a prism. So this is important to realize. What we are caring about is the angle. This particular angle is what we are caring about essentially. So at the bottom anything can happen. So it might be a shape that is like this, it might be a shape that is like this, it might be a shape that is like this, and so on and so forth. But the apex angle or the vertex angle remains the same, and that is not changing. Let's understand this. Alright, so now let us derive a few relationships for all these angles of the prism. We can understand that, let's say this particular angle is x and this particular angle is y. We also know that because of vertically opposite angles being congruent, this entire angle is going to be I and this entire angle is going to be E. So this entire angle is I as well. So if we look at the quadrilateral ABCD, or rather PQRS, let me call it as PQRS, okay, let's say. We'll not label the quadrilateral as ABCD because this angle happens to be A, so we don't need any confusion there. Okay, so let's say this is the quadrilateral PQRS. Now, for the quadrilateral PQRS, obviously we know that the sum of angles is 360 degree, sum of all internal angles. So let's understand what are the internal angles. Here we have Y, here we have X, here we have I, and here we have E. So what we can write is Y plus X plus I plus E is equal to 360 degrees. Alright. So let's understand what is Y. Y is nothing but 180 minus delta. Right? It is very apparent from the diagram that Y happens to be 180 minus delta. Now X. What is X? Now let's understand. Let this point be the point, let's say M. So if we look at the quadrilateral M, Q, R and S. So this is M, Q, R, S. If we look at this quadrilateral, then we understand that this angle is 90 degree, this angle is 90 degree, this angle is A. Okay. So what is the angle X? This angle is X. So this is the quadrilateral M, Q, R, S that I have separately drawn over here. So since this is a cyclic quadrilateral, the sum of opposite angles happens to be 180 degree. A plus X is going to be 180 degree as well, and hence X is going to be 180 minus A. So I can here write down X to be 180 minus A plus I plus E is equal to 360 degrees. So if you just simplify this equation, we'll get I plus E is equal to A plus delta. So this is one of the first equations of the prism that we need to know. Alright, now let us also understand that in the triangle QSR, if you look at the triangle QSR, this particular triangle, if we try to analyze this triangle, then we know that this angle happens to be R1, this angle happens to be R2, and this is X, which is nothing but 180 minus A we have just seen. Alright, so now in this particular triangle, what we can write down is the fact that R1 plus R2 plus 180 minus A is going to be equal to 180, and therefore we get R1 plus R2 is going to be equal to A. So this is the second thing that we need to note and remember. So these are the parameters of the prism we need to understand well.